Hello again. Welcome to another session of the 18th annual Transforming the Teaching and Learning Environment virtual conference. I'm Bob Hales. I am your moderator. We have with us Joni Mitchell, who is a professional development specialist at Westcliff University's Light Center. And she'll probably tell us what that is in a minute. She supports faculty through practical, hands-on, and professional learning experiences. And her work focuses on helping structures thoughtfully integrate active learning strategies, instructional design practices, and emerging technologies such as AI into their teaching. She's going to talk about from hesitation to integration, faculty development for AI in higher education. And I'm looking forward to it. Joni, it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Bob. I appreciate it. Yes, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, if you are watching the recording, welcome. My name is Joni Mitchell. I'm the professional development specialist in the Light Center at Westcliff University. I'll be getting into some of that, tell you a little bit more about our university and what we do in the Light Center. And I'm so excited today to be sharing on this topic. Hopefully, you're enjoying the conference and the recordings, and you're gaining lots of information. And one of the things that I work on is faculty development. And as you know, AI in higher ed, AI has been changing every space, certainly higher education. And so it's been a real joy working with our faculty around this topic at our university. So a couple of items today on our agenda. Like I said, I'll share a little bit about our university and the Light Center and what we do there. I'm going to tap on a few points of AI in higher ed, hopefully some things that you can relate to and think about while you are watching our presentation. I really encourage you to think about your institution and your workplace and kind of consider your context when it comes to faculty and what they're facing or what others are facing in the L&D space. A little bit more on the AI engagement and acceptance. That's really important, and I'm going to share a scale with you from one of our faculty researchers that I think you're going to find really interesting. And of course, I will share our journey, our solutions, and some of our outcomes. So thank you for being here. A little bit about Westcliff University. We are located our main campus is in Irvine, California. We do have global campuses and partnerships all over the world in Dubai and Italy, Canada, and Jordan. We have about 6 locations right now in the US, and we serve different populations. And so we have everything from student athletics in our Southern California location to nursing in Bay Area in California. And so we serve a very broad population, but we do it with these core values. And so our social responsibility and global leadership, integrity and accountability, compassion and collaboration, and community. It's really important that we kind of hold on to those values as we think about our institution and the work we do there. A little bit more context about our institution. About 85% of our faculty are adjuncts with primary jobs outside of academia. And the reason why that is important is it means that our faculty don't have a lot of time for professional development. They are often giving their own voluntary time to learn more about the subjects that we hope will help them in the classroom. But they also bring a wealth of knowledge to our students. And that is really important for us to think about at all of our locations. They bring that diverse experience from very professional backgrounds. They have extremely enriching perspectives from the work that they do, both in and outside of the university. And our faculty and students are distributed across multiple time zones. And so when it comes to our professional development, it means that we require asynchronous options as well as synchronous options. Remote work, obviously, is a thing that almost every institution has to consider. And that's a big deal for us, as well as having recorded content, which I'll share about in just a moment here. We have a low student to faculty ratio, about 10 to 1. So our faculty are incredibly close to our students. And they often serve as a first line of service and guidance for our students. And this is especially important when we're guiding students through some of these difficult tasks of how and when and to use AI. And professional development is often, as I said, voluntarily. It's primarily driven by intrinsic motivation with we have some small stipends for participation. So if that's something that is happening at your university, how do we get faculty engaged when they are essentially volunteering their time and their expertise in the spaces that we do professional development in? And our students represent over 110 countries. Many of them are international students, first generational students. And we have a really incredible mix of working adults, veterans, student athletes. We serve such a broad population of students, and that's always exciting and contributes and influences how we handle professional development for our faculty. So a little bit about our Light Center. We are the Learning, Innovation, and Teaching Excellence Center. We are part of our Office of Faculty Affairs. So we are a team up and actually nestled under the office that handles academic operations. So the team that handles all of our faculty scheduling, our hiring, and our evaluations of our faculty. We serve the sole purpose of providing faculty at Westcliff University with professional development opportunities that will enhance their teaching in the classroom, their engagement on campus, and of course, the work that they do every day. And we are faculty centered, but campus aligned. And so we are very much focused on the needs of our faculty and how we can help them be the best educators they can be for their students. Now, of course, there are several opportunities and challenges when it comes to AI in higher ed. I know we've all been seeing these over the years. The first, of course, is teaching and learning. You know, where do we draw the line when it comes to what our support of how we are teaching in the classroom, how students are learning, information they're receiving. It's important for us to consider faculty support and efficiency. Again, we have a very large population of adjunct faculty. Equity and inclusion as one of our core values. And of course, when it comes to views on AI in higher education, we want to make sure that all voices are heard. We have institutional and administrative gains to benefit from when it comes to AI, and hopefully we're seeing more of that over time. Research and innovation is an important concept when it comes to AI. How are we using AI in these areas? Faculty perception as well as their readiness. And so I will talk a little bit about a shift in that as we get into some of the work that we've done over the last 3 or 4 years. And of course, keeping our student learning concerns, not just our outcomes, not just our students passing the courses, but how are they learning? Major ethical concerns related to plagiarism and other issues. And of course, our institutional policies, which are shifting, and I'm sure they're shifting at your institution as well. We've had a couple of reviews, and currently our current policy is very strong and also flexible in the areas that it needs to, and access. Not everybody has access to the same tools or same time with the tools, knowledge about tools. Again, because we serve such a diverse population, we have to really think about that. And our course design dilemmas. Now, we have, of course, traditional e-learnings that I'll share a little bit about, but we really had to broaden our range of how we support faculty when it comes to AI in higher education. So I encourage you to think about which of these opportunities and or challenges resonates most with you about you at your institution, either right now, in the past, or what you might face in the future in relation to these. Now, one of the things that we really had to think about when it came to our use of AI in higher ed was the different areas of acceptance. And I'll share some resources at the end of this slide deck, and you can always go back and pull these slides later. But certainly we had our faculty who were resistant or anxious, and we still do. You know, they're concerned that AI will replace their jobs, that students will only use it to cheat, they won't learn anything from it. And the faculty focused AI as the threats and the downsides. And with that, they of course avoided use of AI in the classroom and of course in their lives. Many faculty were curious but cautious. How can I understand this better? And this is kind of where I've always resided when it comes to AI. I get very excited about it, but I want to make sure that I understand. Maybe faculty feel a little bit hesitant to implement fully. They're concerned about academic integrity. They're seeking clear guidelines to support while starting and implementing use of AI, either for their administrative tasks or in the classroom. And of course, we already have faculty who were experimenting. They, you know, kind of have an attitude forward of, let me try this in my classroom. They were actively testing various AI tools. This is certainly where we like for faculty to be. This is where I've gotten myself. And they are even redesigning activities and assignments using AI, and seeking and sharing best practices with our Light Center as part of their professional development. Now, this scale that I promised earlier is from one of our researchers, Dr. Shelley Spessard, and she actually shared this during one of our professional learning communities. I'm going to leave it on this slide just for a minute because I know there's a lot of detail here, but she designed this AI use maturity scale where she looked at faculty who were going from emerging all the way to transforming. And so those emerging faculty, again, that hesitation, I know AI is emerging in education, maybe they're curious, but they're cautious. They may or may not be actively using AI. And many have tried maybe ChatGPT, a little bit of Gemini, heard some things about it, but they're not following what's going on in the world with AI outside of maybe what they're required to do in their jobs. Faculty who are exploring. So they've tested AI for basic tasks. They've used AI for maybe summaries, lesson ideas, classroom activities, email drafts, or they've tried that surface level use. Maybe they've worked a little bit on generic prompting, but maybe they're just really searching kind of like a Google search, tell me more about this. But we really want to encourage those groups, especially, to kind of move towards this adopting. So adopting AI is when faculty really start to say, okay, I use AI to support instruction. Maybe they're designing materials, they're using AI to adjust their tone, they're using it to differentiate. And this aligns more with how they can align the prompts with the goals and student needs. We also have faculty who are advancing. And this faculty member might say, I model AI use for my students, means they're actively using it in the class. They demonstrate prompting. They review outputs with students. They ask their students to submit their outputs. And they use strategic and ethical prompting as a practice. And this is a huge step that really trying to get faculty in these middle two here has been really exciting to see. And I'll talk a little bit about that transformation as well. And finally, the last level of Dr. Spessard's scale here is transforming. I teach AI prompting as a literacy skill. And this is for faculty who embed prompting into discussions, assessments, reflection. They encourage students to prompt, revise, and evaluate AI collaboratively, using those AI tools as assistants, not to replace their thinking, but to help them enhance and explain their thinking. And they use it well. And we do have a few faculty kind of at our institution in this area, many of whom work in the College of Technology and Engineering, and some other spaces as well, but early adopters, right? This is where they're kind of leaning towards now. So again, I encourage you to kind of think about this scale and the one before this for your institution. What are you seeing amongst colleagues, amongst your educators? Where do you see yourself? It's always good to think about these kind of different ranges of where we might be, because it takes the conversation away from the fear and more of the integration, the use, the reflection that's going to help us with the tools that we already know exist. One last scale here I wanted to share with you is the 5 stages of AI engagement. So we have the avoidance stage, again, that very low level. I don't want to touch this. I want nothing to do with this. Faculty may actively avoid AI and even AI conversations we sometimes saw. Awareness, I should probably know more. So this is where maybe we had a little bit of a push, right? So we have the recognition that AI is affecting higher education. I don't think any of us can deny that now, but we're beginning to seek information passively versus getting into these higher levels where we're more engaged. So curiosity, let me try it. Maybe once. First, at tentative exploration with low stakes use, it's often triggered by specific need or a colleague example. You know, now we see faculty at our institution in meetings where colleagues are sharing their chat bots or they're sharing specific research that they're doing with AI. And so now that curiosity gets piqued. These lower two is where we really want to make sure that we see our faculty. So this is our goal. Experimentation, I see how this might help. And that's okay. If you could just get to the maybe part, we're already doing our job in professional development. And so purposeful testing of teaching and research context and seeking guidance on effective implementation. And again, we have some brilliant industry experts as our faculty. So we really want to help them get to this place and get to it in an efficient way. And finally, AI engagement and supported learning. This is how I'm using it now. We love hearing back from our faculty on workflows, on integrations, and they share those experiences openly. And that really helped to frame the professional development that we've been engaging in. So reflecting back just a bit with those scales in mind, we definitely got curious ourselves. We met faculty where they excuse me. We met faculty where they were. We made sure that we never judged them for having that resistance, having that concern. We actually opened up those conversations and allowed them to flow. And in doing that, we built trust at all of our events, every event, even if the topic was active learning or another important professional development topic, we made sure that we allowed faculty to engage in the conversation around AI. We offered scaffold learning that was both accessible and kept budget constraints in mind. Now, this is kind of the thing that when I talk to colleagues and, they're either with universities who are maybe, the administration is resistant, the tools are expensive, cost doesn't matter, not just budget costs, but time costs, right? Like we have to be using these tools for specific reasons, and sometimes we don't know what those reasons are. So we thought about that quite a bit when we thought about our scaffolding. And of course, we use collaboration whenever possible. We have our LXD team members, which is our instructional designers who build and design many of our online courses. We have faculty researchers like Dr. Spessard and others. We have staff and leadership from different on-campus services. And so we got to hear how they're using AI in places like student services. And then we centered on ethical use and andragogical alignment. We still want to make sure that the focus is educating our adult learners. We often reinforced opportunities for visibility, integration, and research. So we may have one workshop that feeds into a PLC. I'll give you some examples of that. We might have an online course that leads to a webinar. And we just really wanted to make sure that we offered the connections so that faculty could see how their professional development fit together. It wasn't just a one-time topic, okay, we'll talk about AI. So I'm going to go through just a few types of professional development offerings that we came up with over the last few years. Some of these were things that we were doing that we tweaked a little bit to kind of fit more around the AI conversation, to open up the conversation about AI, not just teach a tool. And one of those was our webinars. So our webinars are quick entry for faculty, 60-minute live virtual sessions, much like this one. They are designed to explore a focused topic in real time. We combine a presentation, discussion, maybe an interactive feature like a poll or Q&A or a breakout room. And in our exploration with AI, we often saw these spaces as a springboard for deeper learning through the feedback that we shared. Now, we have surveys for all of our live events. And so we always, and our e-learnings as well, we always pull that content, pull that data so that we can understand how the content is impacting faculty. Few pros when it comes to webinars. One, it's broad reach across time zones. And so again, because we are an international campus, we have to make sure we're serving multiple time zones to the best of our ability. Our live webinars were often offered twice a day. In Pacific time, 8 a.m. and noon. So that tended to help at least with our North American-based faculty. They were easy to set up and deploy. Now, from our learning and development side in our professional development office, we always have administrative tasks, and we want to keep those in mind. They're low barrier to entry. No previous knowledge of the topic is required. Faculty don't have to sign up for multiple sessions. They can pop in, and we always have the recordings to provide ongoing access. It's an excellent opportunity for foundational surface level collaboration from presenters, and those presentations can be shared in different spaces as well. So we always enjoy our webinars. Few cons when it comes to our webinars. The length, the length of them, the lecture style, the format of them. Again, we would do an occasional breakout room, but that wasn't the focus. It was very heavy on lecture, right? So the limited depth of engagement. It's primarily passive learning for our faculty. The attendance varied as well as the participation, and we never knew if it led to implementation. We might get really great data back that says, hey, I love this webinar. I'm going to take it and run with these ideas, but we didn't really know. The tools and uses were presented, but there was often, if ever, no time for faculty to demo the tools for themselves. And that became a challenge with our webinars. I'll share a few titles here. Maybe it'll spring some creativity for you. We talked about using AI's Turnitin writing detection tool when grading. Now, this was a really great webinar that one of our mentoring faculty did, where she looked at our AI policy and the tool Turnitin, which is one of our plagiarism detectors, as well as our academic integrity policy, and really gave faculty some steps that they could take when they saw those breaches in the classroom. AI and assessment, AI in the classroom, AI and accessibility, designing process-oriented learning experiences in the age of AI. And all of these were different, again, 1-hour sessions where we just offered faculty information, and we were able to really focus on a specific topic around AI in higher education. Now, we also would take a lot of our recordings, and we would also develop our e-learnings. We continue to develop e-learnings using various tools for asynchronous courses. Now, these offer deeper exploration. This is because they're self-paced, flexible modules. They might include videos, prompts, content, external links, research articles, and always assessments. So we can really measure learning with these. They're designed for a variety of experience levels. So we're able to kind of advertise these asynchronous courses and, really say who they're for, and faculty can dive in and go, oh, that's too much information, or that's a little bit heavier than what I was really wanting to do. Let me go down to this lower level, or they can, kind of scale up and take classes in a whole series. They're housed in our professional development learning management system. We do have a separate LMS for our professional development. That may change at some point, but as of right now, we have a system that faculty can go into and sort a library of our recordings and our asynchronous e-learning courses. So again, the pros, flexible engagement options, we allowed for deeper exploration and reflection. Faculty had time, you can log in, log out, do 5 minutes down, do 30 minutes later. It's extremely useful, of course, for different time zones, those global audiences. It's very scalable, and it allowed for assessment. The interactions with content was especially useful because as AI continues to shift, maybe we want to offer new information, we can change out slides, we can change out videos, we can add more references and content for faculty to engage with. It is the easiest to revise. Some cons of asynchronous courses, of course, there's no interaction with peers. We tried a few times. We tried to have some with, discussion forums and things of that nature. They really didn't take off. They're longer for our office to design and implement. So it's not as simple as schedule the webinar, advertise the webinar. We have to really build out the courses. We have various e-learning tools for that. And the development requires upfront investment of time and resources. We have to buy specific software to house things in our LMS with our assessments. Feel free to reach out to me. I am happy to talk about the technical sides of that. Some of our recent offerings were included understanding generative AI, history, terminology, and foundational techniques. And this was one of the ones that I mentioned that had many parts. And so faculty could take just a general history of generative AI and learn about, AI winter and some of the other things that have happened throughout the history of AI. It did not start 2 or 3 years ago, right? ChatGPT might have, but really AI has been around for a really long time. That second course, generative AI terminology and implications, really kind of dives in and gets faculty into thinking about AI and kind of knowing more of the specifics. But those foundational techniques, this was an incredibly popular course. And again, faculty had the option with their e-learning to take all 3 or just this final, if they wanted to just take this final one. And those foundational techniques really were one of the most popular. Finally, we have our professional learning communities. This is one of my favorite. These are small hands-on faculty groups that meet over Zoom, usually bi-weekly, sometimes monthly. We might meet 3 to 6 times over a session. We aimed a little bit higher, 4 or 5, times, occasionally 6 times. And here in these spaces, faculty co-create and share resources. And it's really great because we get so much engagement in these meetings. We attempted homework. I said keyword on attempt. We had some faculty who really got into their homework and some who didn't, but that's okay because they still came back the following session and contributed ideas. It really emphasized community and safe spaces. These sessions were not recorded. Our webinars are recorded. These sessions were not. So the pros were that peer-led learning and collaboration. Faculty really enjoyed that. It encouraged co-creation of real deliverables when it came to AI. Faculty were able to explore prompting and ethics and different tools with each other. It strengthened trust and relationship among the faculty and with the Light Center. A lot of times because of the fact that we are housed administratively in the Office of Academic Affairs, we sometimes are looked at as the policers. You have to come learn this, you have to come learn this. And that's really not the tone we wanted with this professional development. We understand and have understood the apprehension that some faculty have with when it comes to AI. And so because of that, we really needed to make sure that we had models that strengthen those relationships. And we also built momentum for innovation and institutional sharing. A lot of times in our professional learning communities, there might be a group of faculty that want to go on and do research and publish together or connect with content at a later time. It allowed easy AI integration. Sorry, slides cut off there. Easy AI integration and any topic and that would come up and demonstrations as time allowed. A lot of times we would have faculty who were, oh, I just saw this or I just learned about this. And if there was somebody in the room who could help share a few more details, they did. And we would open up, Notebook LM or Gemini or another Claude and kind of look at some of the differences with different uses of especially generative AI, but also other uses as well. Some of the cons with our PLCs were that it required a consistent time commitment, certainly getting things scheduled and making sure that, we had those ready to go, especially when demonstrating technology. They were limited to small cohorts. And so because these were not recorded or posted or shared, we really didn't have opportunities to share the content with the broader group. We did tend to share published ideas or job aids for faculty, but they didn't get to have that full experience unless they were able to show up live. They were highly dependent on strong facilitation to stay productive. So as we know, sometimes if we get a group of people together, we can fall down different rabbit holes. Certainly the topic of ethics is incredibly important when it comes to AI, but there's more to talk about than plagiarism. But we always want to make sure that we created space for that and then got back on track so that each of our meetings was productive. We had recent offerings on the last couple of years on early PLCs to review ethics tools and plagiarism specifically. We did one on AI prompting in higher ed, specific for a higher ed, professional research, innovation, and learning, and really just showed a lot of really great uses and tools. We also had ones that were AI influenced. And so we had a PLC on power skills in the classroom, which was us as faculty talking about how do we give our students these AI skills going forward. And so it's very important for our learning. And actually that one was scheduled at such a time that we had quite a few of our asynchronous teaching faculty. So we spent a lot of time talking about how to do that in the asynchronous classroom, not just in their live sessions. So that was really fun. I'm going to share a couple more offerings with us. One is our reading club. I know I'm keeping the eye on time here. It was a monthly offering, 1 hour, and faculty were encouraged, but not required to read the material. We would essentially read an article, a research article, or something that either we chose in the Light Center or one of our faculty members shared. We definitely kept it open to everyone, even if they hadn't had time to read the article. And possible additional resources. So we had our research article and then any additional resources. We encouraged open discussion. There was no real formal structure to these. And it was research-based, but based on open discussion. And so we had a variety of topics that would come up. The pros, of course, it provided a gentle entry point through discussion, critical reading of the material, and tools shared. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We were able to connect scholarship to daily practice. Those social bonds in the short amount of time, these were one-off. So unlike our PLCs that were live and engaging, each reading club was a standalone reading club. We would have one meeting only. And it was easy to weave AI topics into the conversation. So even if the focus of the article or the discussion wasn't AI, we could easily weave it in there as people were interested. The prep required, due to busy faculty, they didn't always have time to read. So a lot of times we would prepare notes, questions to kind of help guide the discussion. We've got a lot of out of those sessions through doing that. We had limited application. Follow-up support was offered as a result of these, but we didn't hear back the way we would with PLCs, week after week, faculty coming back in saying what they've tried. The impact varied with article selection. So sometimes you would get an article that faculty really connected with, and other times maybe not so much. Maybe it would shift the conversation a bit, but it was always good to have the engagement that we did. We had two specific series that we've tried so far. We're looking at another one to start later on this fall. The first one was an article and an app, and this is a series of reading clubs where we had a research article attached to an app that they could try. And so that app, maybe something like a Poll Everywhere or a Mentimeter, was maybe something that did or did not have AI functions. Again, AI always was woven into the conversation eventually. And the second one we had was called the Faculty Lens. And the great thing about the Reading Club, the Faculty Lens, that was a series that was very much focused on very intricately on how faculty do their jobs. And so we got to really kind of dive into some of the struggles that faculty had, and look at some of the administrative practices as well that help them to do their jobs better, as well as how they connect with students, depending on if they have a live class, an asynchronous class. We actually have all formats of classes at our university, everything from hybrid to meeting a couple times a session, and purely online. We have some courses with labs, and so it was really important that we connect that way. I'm just going to touch back to our LMS resources as our final point here. Now, we always had for our asynchronous faculty, for our global faculty, whether they were asynchronous or not. Again, because we have a global campus, it's really important that we keep information, resources, and content from all of our live events, but also just accessible to everyone. This also includes things like our AI policy guides, job aids, and other resources. So this served as a hub. We have faculty members who, I haven't been able to attend that webinar. They could go watch the webinar. I was in a department meeting and they said something about a shift in AI policy. We have our current AI policies there. It was scalable support from the entire institution, and that's really what helped keep this space really popular. It was asynchronous support, but also had some passive learning involved, as I mentioned, with our e-learning courses. It does require housing and maintenance in an LMS. And so the upkeep on that is probably some of the heaviest compared to maybe doing our live events, posting a video of a time or two. So those were pretty much all an overview of what we offered in terms of the types of professional development. Gave you a few specific examples. What our approach ended up really turning out to be was a start with our values, not the tools. Now, we covered a variety of tools from webinars all the way to our reading clubs. We talked all about generative AI. We will continue that conversation. We have AI tools that are used for discussion now, one called the Socratic Metric tool. That has been a huge university rollout, but really making sure that it's grounded in our values first, not just what the tool can do. We allowed those natural stages of adoption. So again, those 3 scales that I talked about, how we kind of watched our faculty kind of work through the different levels. And we did that. We designed all of our offerings with curiosity and choice in mind. So we do have faculty that only want to do e-learnings. They just want to be able to log in, take a course, get the information. But for the most part, many of our faculty like a variety of opportunities to connect with colleagues as well as gain information on their own. And it's centered on trust and collaboration. And so we never wanted to approach this from the perspective of we are the gurus, we are the professional development office, we know what you need. Instead, it was really much, you know what, bring your ideas, bring your questions, let's see what we can do together. We supported experimentation and learning from mistakes. That actually comes from some of our administration. We've got some directors who are very much focused on, you know what, make mistakes, please. And all about ongoing growth, tool development, and data collection. So again, because we have surveys after every live event and after every e-learning, we were able to gather very, very rich data on, you know, what was really helpful for faculty. And it's even helped frame some of our professional development offerings for this year, where we're shifting things just a bit. We still have almost all of these types of PD offerings. They're just going to be done a little bit differently. So finally, we saw some faculty shifts and sentiments. Those early conversations certainly reflected that uncertainty and concern. We definitely had faculty who, I mean, all the way to being concerned about, you know, being replaced in their jobs, being replaced, of course, being concerned about academic integrity, and really being able to have those early conversations and continue to have those conversations is such an important part of the work that we do. Uh, as the engagement increased, faculty moved from that hesitation towards that cautious exploration. And I put that in quotes. That's one of my favorite terms. Like, have some cautious exploration. We're not saying you have to, you know, start using AI for everything that you do, but really start to look at it from the perspective of an extension of an assistant. You know, kind of an extension of the work that you do. You know, what would you want help with? You know, we have a lot of ways to kind of move into that exploration space, and as time would allow too, because time is one of our most important resources when it comes to working with our faculty. Many faculty expressed appreciation for structured guidance as well as safe spaces. Now, this came down to how they asked questions, how they developed their own guardrails before they gave their students guardrails. Yes, there's an AI policy, but then how do we express that in class? How do I support that? And really, you know, that was really helpful because over time the language shifted is, you know, from should we allow this to how can we use this responsibly, ethically, helpfully, efficiently. Sometimes we pick up a tool and we think we have a process. We think, oh, this AI tool can do this, this, and this. Great. We try it out. It actually doesn't work out that way. And that's okay. Our faculty are increasingly framing AI as a support tool rather than, you know, a threat to their professional identity rather than something that is, you know, an alternative to learning. No, it's really a support tool. It should be anyway. If the AI that we use should always be supporting us and never replacing our thinking. And finally, what we learned in our professional development office was really much about faculty adoption being psychological and feeling that safety before it's technical. We started early on with, oh, how does this tool work? Oh, let me dive into this. Oh, let me create a job aid. Oh, let's help that. And those things are really helpful, you know, especially for faculty who need it. Most of our faculty don't. What they wanted was a safe space to experiment and to kind of bring themselves and their work and the heart that they have for their work to the space to talk about AI. Trust, values alignment, and open conversation matter more than tool demonstrations alone. We have actually done very few demos. Early on, that was the pressure that we received. You know, get in there, do the demo, run the demo, show them how to use it. But we found that conversations and then allowing faculty to demo things on their own and come back with ideas, such as in our PLCs, or giving them resources and then having conversations later really helped. Having regular community reduced anxiety and prevented isolation. That was something that came up over and over again in our data. Faculty who were experimenting in these small, low stakes ways, they were more likely to continue with the integration of AI into their work than feeling alone and feeling forced, really. And in that way, AI integration is most sustainable when connected to pedagogy, ethics, institutional mission, not just novelty. So that was kind of the other side of this. We had peers experimenting together, shared assignments, you know, that often would accelerate that confidence. But also, we needed application, right? We needed to make sure that this wasn't just the latest tool on the block, and really made sure that our faculty felt connected to the use of the tool, the specific use of the tool. Here's a few references. You will get these with the slide deck. Again, my name is Joni Mitchell. You can feel free to reach out to me. That is all I have for you today. Bob, are you there?
Couple of things. What
Sure.
LMS do you guys use?
So currently, so our academic LMS is actually Acorn, I'm sorry, Moodle, and our professional development LMS is shifting from Acorn to another Moodle product. So we did have Spoke for a while. We entertained Docebo for one of uh, our professional development LMSs. Our teaching LMS that faculty teach in has also been a really great place to house some of our content. So we're entertaining that idea for this year. But the main thing is making sure that our faculty have the reach, the access that they need. And so we're really looking for something now because we've just found that a lot of these LMSs have similar functions. What is easiest for our faculty to log into? We do have an SSO that our faculty are required to log into. And so that's, the security side of that is really important. But we're trying to increase that access, especially for our international faculty that are logging into so many things at different times of the day.
I I know that working with adjuncts is difficult because it's not their full-time job,
Sure.
and then you're asking them to spend some of their free time on stuff, and it's difficult. The only thing that I ever had some modicum of success really was having other faculty who have used the tool successfully demonstrate it to their colleagues and then provide some help for those faculty if they want to pursue
Mhm.
it. But it's still really difficult if you're dealing with adjuncts.
Absolutely. That the sense of community, whether we're doing it over a Zoom call or we're doing it, at the office together is so important. We, all of these tools are really hands-on. We need to really be able to get our hands on them, see if they're useful to us, understand, the ethics and privacy concern, understand how it fits with our policies. Very excited about some of the things that we have coming up in 2026. But I think that sense of community is something that we always want to hold on to. I know some of our adjuncts work completely online, just like I do, and that isolation is very real. And so sometimes you just want to walk away from your computer. And so being able to have somebody that you can hop on a Zoom call with, whether it's a mentor or a live event that you're attending, is so important for them. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it does take their time and it does have to be scheduled. And so that's part of our task is making sure that we, offer enough variation to reach as many people as possible.
Hmm. Well, you've got, a well laid out plan. It's just, how much they buy into it and,
Sure.
adopt those things.
Yes, yes. And every day, every time we ask them to complete a survey, that's something that I always hit home with is hey, what these survey results show us, we can take to administration and get support for programming. We can get support. And some of that support can and should look like payment when you show up for professional development. I'm finding a lot of universities do not offer paid professional development. It's either worked into the contract that faculty receive, or it's very minimal. And so we're always working with our directors to kind of look at how we can improve that. And the good thing is we work at an institution where there's an interest in that. So because we have such a large adjunct population. So
Hmm.
but they're all amazing and they're so great. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Kimberly. She said ours is worked into the contract. Yeah. And so then you have the run into the issue of do faculty feel good when they're completing that PD? or are they there because they have to, right? How do you make sure that they still enjoy what's being offered to them and they're not just like, oh, let me log into this Zoom and
Yeah.
not offer much anything back, right? Again, that getting to that sense of community, it's challenging, but it's so rewarding.
Well, I see we're
We're at
essentially out
time.
of time,
Yes.
but I appreciate you taking the time to, lay this out for us. It was really helpful. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I hope whoever, I hope it helps somebody as you're thinking about your programming and what you might want to try and what you might to offer. It's all trial and error, and it's okay to make mistakes. So thank you so much, Bob, for having me.
thanks for being
Thank
with
you.
us.